Hey you guys, so I have been putting off filming, or doing any work really at all, which I've come to learn usually happens if I'm feeling depressed or if I have something that's been on my mind that I either don't feel ready to talk about online yet or I just haven't talked about online yet. And I feel like historically, the thing that's helped me just kind of like get over it is just talking about it online. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I feel like I need to give a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about some medical things regarding my body, but the bodies of people that can give birth in general. I'm going to be probably just briefly touching on miscarriages, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to do my makeup while I tell my tale. But I'm probably not going to be talking about what I'm using, to be honest. So basically, I received some not so chill news about my health. So when I was like 21, 22 maybe, I was with a partner. It started becoming like really, really painful to have sex. And I ended up going into a doctor about it. This wasn't like a family doctor of mine. This was just like a doctor because I haven't had a family doctor until like recent years kind of thing. It was a women's clinic downtown that is fantastic. I love them so much. But anyways, when I went in, I was talking to this lady. I was like, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And she said to me at that time, she was like, well, don't worry. Like, we'll figure it out. Let's do like a whole STD panel. We'll do your PAP and everything like that, and like just do all the checklists we can to try and see like what's maybe going on. I had met with this woman several times after, and on one of those occasions, she asked me whether or not I would be comfortable asking my partner if they had been unfaithful, or if I had been unfaithful as well. She asked me that as well. But she didn't say it in that term. She said, do you have multiple sexual partners? I was like, no, I'm in a monogamous relationship. And then she then asked, do you feel comfortable asking your partner whether or not they've had other sexual partners outside of your relationship? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, would you want like a moderator there? Like, do you want to bring your partner in and we can talk about it and whatever? And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'll go home and talk to them, but why? And at that time, she was like, I'm a little concerned that maybe there was like something that was passed on to you, whatever, just based on what's going on. So that's where it's at kind of thing. So I was like, okay. So I went home. This part doesn't really have anything to do with the story, but it kind of does in my opinion. I just have like a weird feeling about it. So I just want to bitch about it if that's cool. But anyways, I went home, like just sobbed to my partner. And I was like, I don't care if you've been with somebody else. It doesn't bother me. Like, well, it does bother me, obviously. But like, I was like, I need to know because I'm scared for my health now. So please just tell me if you've been with somebody else. I don't care. Like, I won't be mad if you lied to me before. It doesn't matter. Like, just please tell me because this is like the only thing that matters now. And they chuckled at me. And I just was like, okay. They were like, no, I haven't. And I was like, okay. That test result for my PAP came back saying that I had abnormal cell growth. And so my doctor at the time was like, it's not uncommon. It's probably fine. Sometimes these things tend to correct themselves and sometimes not. So we'll just keep an eye on it. We'll do more regular PAPs and whatever. And I was like, okay. And then every PAP I've done since then has come back saying that I have abnormal cell growth, but it was never anything, they didn't ever have any cause for further testing or anything like that, like any cause for concern. So I just kind of was like, I guess I just got my cells are extra, it's fine. I didn't think a whole lot of it. And then when I got pregnant, I did a PAP test with now my family doctor, my regular doctor. And the results for that came back saying that I had more abnormal cell growth. And so my doctor was like, sometimes this happens when you get pregnant. Sometimes it can just cause, additional cell growth or whatever. And sometimes it's totally fine and sometimes it's not. So I think we should send you in for a colposcopy just in case. And she was like, they probably won't do a biopsy right now because you're pregnant, but, you know, they can check it out and see whether or not it's something that warrants doing a biopsy in the future. So I was like, okay. So went in, did my colposcopy. Well, I was probably 3 or 4 months pregnant, and they just checked, basically. They just looked. They didn't take any biopsies or do anything like that. It was still just an unpleasant, uncomfortable experience, and I started to get a little bit nervous at that point. I was like, not feeling great about this, but sure, it's fine, whatever. So when I did that colposcopy, the person that was doing it, the doctor, said to me, you know, like, we're not going to be able to see much doing this, and we probably will have to do a biopsy. So I'm probably going to get you to come in like 6 weeks after you give birth. And at the time I was like, seems kind of fucking quick, but okay. But we never booked an appointment. She was like, we'll just call you around that time to book an appointment. And I was like, okay. So they did. They called me 6 weeks after I gave birth to try and book an appointment, and I didn't pick up. And I didn't call them back because at that point in my postpartum recovery, I still had stitches in. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not going in there to fucking get someone to take a chunk out of my cervix. I'm just not doing it. I was pretty scared and nervous about it. And I frankly was just like not at a point mentally or emotionally where I felt like I could go in and do that. I don't want to hear all the people that are gonna be like, well, you should have because it's dangerous. I know. Obviously I accepted the consequences of the decision that I was making at the time. It was a, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot having a baby. And then thinking about going in and freaking putting your feet back in those stirrups, it's not something I was prepared for. So anyways, and then I had gone back into my doctor to, for my baby, to do shots and stuff. And at that point, my doctor was like, oh, you know, the center where they do this thing, she was like, they contacted me and they are mad that you didn't respond back or that you didn't call them back. And so she was like, you know, I get it. You had just had a baby, it's fine, but, you know, let's not let it slip under the radar again, and let's just go do this and get it done and whatever. And I was like, fine. So they called me again. I went in and did the colposcopy with the biopsy this time. This is just an aside, but the chick was such a dick. She was like, so it's been a year. It's been over a year since I saw you last. And I was like, yeah. She's like, what happened? And I was like, well, I had a baby. And she was like, and got busy. And I was like, yeah, pretty common complaint, I feel, for people that have just had babies. So yeah, I did get busy. But anyways, and then she was like, well, I'm not going to lie, this is going to hurt. And I was like, cool. So then she did the biopsy. And so basically, if you don't know what that is, they put your feet back in those damn stirrups, and they just take off some pieces of the cells so that they can then check it to see whether or not it's something to be more concerned about. I had the biopsy, and then I was back in at my doctor for my baby again, like maybe a week and a half after the biopsy. And I asked if she had received back any results. And she was like, yeah, I did. And it's not a huge deal. It's not cancer. It's not pre-cancer even. It's just, you know, like whatever. It's the stage before pre-cancer. And she said that she didn't know too much about it, so I'd have to kind of wait for the other doctor to call me back and give me like a whole rundown. But she was like, I think they'll probably just want to do like laser on it to laser off the cells that are abnormal and to make sure that it doesn't turn into anything more. I was like, okay. And I still went home not feeling great because this is what I struggle with in these situations. These things are common and it's usually not a big deal. And I feel like you can research stuff online and have a million people be like, you're probably going to be completely fine. And most people are completely fine, but you're like, ooh, kind of didn't think this was going to happen to me though. So, you know, I could go ahead and think that the worst case scenario isn't also going to happen to me, but then just kind of the whole chain of events leading up to now, I feel a little wronged, you know? So I was still kind of upset when I got home. just, knowing that there was basically anything going on that was abnormal. And then the next day, I just don't know how my doctor didn't, maybe she was reading results from a different time or something. I don't know. But basically my other doctor, the one who did the colposcopy and the biopsy, called and said that it is nothing and that it's high grade pre-cancer. So everything's totally fine, by the way. It's actually not that big of a deal. But I asked her at that time, I was like, is this gonna impact me having kids? And she was like, no, probably shouldn't. And then she was like, but here's what, some of the possible issues could be. She was like, you could, have risk of infection, obviously, risk of, bleeding for longer than you should. And, there's a small increased risk of miscarriage, small increased risk of preterm labor. And so, a lot of the times, if you're going to get pregnant after this procedure, it's the LEEP procedure. If you have heard of it, or if you haven't, it's like this little tiny, from what I understand, it's like this little kind of metal loop that's electrified, and then they burn off the cells in your cervix. And so, she was like, people that get this procedure, a lot of the times we do recommend that you spend the majority of your pregnancy on bed rest, which I'm just stating what my doctor was saying to me, because I know there will be some people that are like, well, my doctor said this to me, or if you Google it, it says this. This is just what my doctor told me. So that's kind of what I'm going off of, based on, her having done the procedure, her knowing, the biopsy rather. I haven't had the procedure done yet. So her having done the biopsy, her knowing my medical history, her knowing where in particular my cells are, how, advanced the cell growth was, all that kind of stuff. So this is just what I'm taking her at her word for what subsequent pregnancies are going to look like for me in the future. So anyways, she said that she was like, we'd probably recommend you spend the majority of your pregnancy on bed rest, because one of the issues that can arise is cervical incompetence, which is basically, from what I understand, your cervix dilating when it shouldn't, which can cause all kinds of different complications. But mostly, you have that risk of preterm labor. I feel like it's not maybe super common knowledge that preterm labor is not nothing. It's not just oh, baby came a little early, but it's fine. The baby's not as developed as they should be if they're coming out early. You know what I mean? It can cause a ton of different complications. You can have an instance where your baby then has to be in the hospital, usually until about their due date. So, if you have a baby 3 months early, you might not get to be around that baby very much, or even hold the baby and stuff like that until they're okay to be released from the hospital. So just that entire experience, I can only imagine how traumatic it is for people. And again, I'm not trying to worst case scenario myself, or be poor me, or victimize myself at all, because it just is what it is. But for me at this point, I kind of would rather just explore all the what ifs in my mind now while I'm not pregnant and not trying for another kid, rather than pretend everything's going to be fine, get pregnant, and then have some of those what ifs come up and have to deal with it now that I'm in the thick of this pregnancy, That whole diagnosis might not sound like that big of a deal. I'm going to detail all the ways in which it is a big deal to me. How am I going to do eyeliner during this? I don't know. This is not a good situation for doing eyeliner with. I was really looking forward to having more kids in the future, and being pregnant again specifically, because I've talked about it several times, but I was really, really scared of giving birth in particular. I was really fearful that something bad was going to happen, or I was going to die, or, whatever. I was very fearful about that. I found the entire process of being pregnant really intimidating information-wise, because I felt like either I was taking in way too much information that wasn't actually helpful or relevant to me, or it seemed like my question just couldn't get answered. So a lot of the times when something was going on and I was trying to Google, like, is this normal? Is this normal? It was like every answer from, yeah, it's totally normal to, no, it's absolutely not normal and you're having an emergency. Like, you can find that answer. Like, whatever answer you're looking for or not looking for, you will find it. And so I found that really daunting. So, you know, throughout my entire pregnancy, I would be like, ooh, like, is everything okay in there? I just don't know. And then when I started going into labor, I couldn't really for sure identify whether or not I was going into labor, like early labor, like, you know, like having your mucus plug come out and all that kind of shit. I was like, is this what this is? I don't know. Like, I just felt very unsure the entire time. And so I was really looking forward to being pregnant again, because I felt like, you know, obviously every single pregnancy is different, but I felt like I would be going in a little bit more prepared and hopefully a little less anxious than, you know, I had been in my first pregnancy. And also I have this context of what I now feel like it's like to be a mom. So anyways, I felt like I would be able to enjoy my pregnancy a little bit more, because I would feel hopefully more connected earlier on than I did, and just feel more excited rather than, you know, unsure and anxious and just like nervous about all the things that were going to be changing with my body, and that were what was it going to look like to be a mom, and how tired really was I going to be, and, you know, all those kinds of things. Because I have some of those answers, at least to some extent, more than I did before I had never had a child. So I was looking forward to that. And now, even if I can get pregnant again, which I'm sure I can, and I'm sure it'll be fine, I feel like I won't be going into this pregnancy. I'm so sorry. I feel like I won't be going into this pregnancy feeling as confident or sure, because now, again, I understand every pregnancy is different, but now I'm knowingly walking into a pregnancy that is different, because the circumstances have obviously changed when it comes to my health. Back to this phone call. I said to her at that time, I was like, you know, I do want to have more kids. So is it possible for for me to wait to do this procedure until after I'm done having kids? Because I had read online that when it comes to this particular situation, which usually what's going on with me right now is usually caused by HPV. At some point you got some kind of strain of HPV, and sometimes it clears up on its own, sometimes it doesn't. Mine obviously didn't, and it turned into, you know, all these various different stages of abnormal cell growth. And now we're in that precancer stage. So I asked, you know, is it possible for me to wait? And she was like, oh, no. She was like, you have to come in like in the next 2 months to do this. So anyways, now I'm just waiting for this appointment to go in and do my LEEP procedure. Hopefully everything will be totally fine. I'm sure it will, as I've said. I'm still just kind of going through the motions of accepting that things are probably going to be slightly different. Because even the bed rest situation, I was hoping if I started doing my eyeliner, I would just stop crying. But I didn't. That didn't happen. We're just gonna power through at this point. Even just with having to be on bed rest, I don't know if it's super feasible for me to then have another kid at this point, because I understand bed rest doesn't mean like all day long, but in my last pregnancy, I didn't take maternity leave. So I did pre-film as much as I possibly could, so that I could have kind of like 3 months where I wouldn't have to be filming that much. There was still like a few videos here and there that I ended up having to film, because I couldn't like pre-plan them kind of thing. So like for Auric launches, you know, I obviously had to just film those in the moment, because the dates kept changing around because shipping kept changing around. And so it was like, I couldn't pre-plan when things were going to launch exactly. So I had to film those in the moment. And then there was like, I think an ad or two that came up that I had to film during my like leave from YouTube. So I tried to pre-film as much as I could, which was great to have kind of like 3 months where I didn't have to worry about that side of things. But my other job, my business, which I love doing. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so like over the top emotional right now. But my therapist is gonna be like, what have I told you about using YouTube as therapy? I love working on Auric. It's really, really fulfilling to me. It's fun. It's exciting, and it's ever changing, and I really do love it.
so much, and I feel so grateful to be in the position that I'm in, to have a business and have it be doing well enough that like I can keep it running and, you know, keep doing this thing that I really enjoy doing. But, you know, it is a job. So as time goes on, I have to get like a tissue because like my face is actually just like covered. Hold on. Anyway, as time goes on, Auric becomes, you know, more work. So that's great. But during my last pregnancy, I didn't ever take any time off from work. You know, like while I was in labor, I was texting and emailing about work shit for work. And the day after, I was working on Auric. So I haven't ever taken maternity leave from that, which I didn't really want to be honest. And it wasn't because my team wasn't allowing me to or anything like that. Like they were like, please just like don't come to meetings, like just stop, don't call in, like you don't have to respond to emails right now, you don't have to. Like they were more so like urging me to take the time. But I felt like owning a brand, there's just so many moving parts, and even when you have your finger as much on the pulse as you possibly can, things still slip between the cracks, and there's just so many people that you're in contact with. And I really, especially in the first year of my business, I didn't want to be stepping away from it. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, then why did you get pregnant? But we were actually planning to launch Auric a lot sooner than we did. So we launched at the very end of January this past year. And we were planning to launch like November, October of 2020. So those few months might not seem like that would have made that much difference. But to me, I feel like it would have made a difference because everything that I'm dealing with now and right when I had my baby, I would have been a few months ahead of that. You know what I mean? So I kind of would have had a little bit more of a handle on what things were going to look like. And hopefully I would have just had a better kind of like work-life balance because I would have gone through a couple launches. And I feel like it's also worth mentioning that, you know, I never wanted to not be working. I did want to work through my pregnancy. I wanted to work while being a mom. I still want to do that, but it's certainly a lot harder and a lot more, it's a lot more difficult to have a healthy work-life balance while caring for a baby. And so right before I had my baby, I had been running a podcast with my best friend, Alyssa, called Approachable, which was such a fun experience. And it was so great, but it was a third job. And I said to Alyssa before I had my baby that I was like, you know, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep doing this. And she was like, I totally get it. It's fine. And so I stopped doing the podcast. That at least kind of was, you know, no longer a commitment. But just doing these two jobs of, you know, like my YouTube and whatever, which I'm not obviously doing a great job of, and doing Auric is very time consuming. And then on top of that, obviously being a mom is, everybody says this, that it's so unbelievably time consuming. You have to be doing 3 things at once, basically. It's like it not even, especially if you're working, even if you're not working, even if you're just a stay-at-home mom, you still are doing 3 things at once because there is literally no other way to get through your day. Like you have to carry on, you know what I mean? So that's what I do. It's difficult with one baby. It would be, I'm sure, very difficult with a baby and 2 jobs and being pregnant, because obviously being pregnant comes with its own set of challenges. Normally, just in a healthy, normal pregnancy. I don't know how I would be able to care for a toddler. Obviously, like if you want to, you can, and you will. It's really, really, really hard to imagine at this point being able to care for a toddler the way that I like to, which I like to spend as much time as humanly possible with my kid because they're the best. And I really just cherish my time with them. I cherish that I'm in a position where I'm able to work from home, so I'm able to spend a lot of time with them. And I don't want to take that for granted. So you know, it's really easy and sometimes completely necessary to say, like, I can't right now. Like, I can't spend time with my kid right now because I have to go do this thing. And it's like, I can't put it off anymore. But I feel like it's really easy to get in a habit of being like, I quickly have to do this thing. I quickly have to do this thing. I quickly have to do this thing. And again, this is not me judging anybody else that has to work or whatever, because of course you do. That's like just life. You have to work and you have to do things around the house. And sometimes you do just have to say, I can't do this right now. But, you know, I really, for me personally, I didn't want to get myself into that habit too much, because I know that I can push work to the forefront and push everything else to the back burner and sustain like that for way too long. And then I get burnt out and then I feel like shit because I look back on my life and I'm like, what am I working towards? Because I don't spend any time with the people I love. I don't spend any time taking care of myself because I'm so wrapped up in what's going on. And I feel like the more I do that, the more that even when I am trying to take time, work is at the forefront of my mind. So I wanted to try and really hone in this like work-life balance that I felt like was actually feasible, and that felt good to me and felt like, you know, I was getting what I needed to get done, but then I was also, you know, not overdoing it to the point where I then wasn't able to be present when I was trying to step away from work. You know, I feel like I've been really lucky to be able to achieve that and spend a ton of time with my baby and, you know, get a lot of quality bonding into every single day. I'm sure there is an option. I just don't know what that looks like yet. I don't know what it looks like. Like what is a feasible way for me to have a toddler and 2 jobs and spend the time that I want to with my toddler and spend the time that I want to on my work and spend the time that I want to with my friends and my family and myself, and also be pregnant on bed rest. It's not connecting in my mind yet how that's going to be feasible. Again, like I said, I'm sure it is. Obviously, there's single parents that, you know, work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and still, you know, are able to spend time with their kids and are able to have kids in the future and all of that. I don't know. I might feel differently, like as my baby gets older and a little bit more independent, I might feel a little differently and feel like, okay, maybe, you know, it is feasible and whatever. And I feel like it's worth mentioning that I'm also in a privileged position because I have a partner who's present and who also is, you know, able to thankfully do quite a bit of work from home. And so, you know, that affords me the ability to be able to do what I'm doing now. But even then, it's just like, it's so hard to fathom how much time caring for another person takes up. But it just does. Like, it's crazy. And I feel like a lot of people think that, you know, it will just get easier and easier, but I just feel like it just gets different, you know, the older they get. Anyways, all that to say, that's what's going on. Sorry for the bummer. It's really just kind of taking over my mind a little bit right this second, because I'm trying not to be over the top in worrying about like the worst case scenario, but I'm also trying to just kind of explore those what ifs. Like I said, I've been putting off filming because I just felt like this was on my mind. The way that my depression looks is oftentimes if I start putting off one thing, I start putting off another thing, and then it's just like everything after that, I'm not doing what I want to be doing. I will sometimes start to like isolate a little bit just because I feel so burnt out that it's like I can't sit and like hang out with somebody else or like talk to somebody else right now, and like I just don't want to, you know, like it's like I want to talk about these things, but every day the support that I need changes. So there's some days where, you know, I want to hear uplifting stories and I want to hear people telling me that like it's totally common and totally normal and it's going to be fine. And then there's some days where it's like I don't want to hear that because I don't want someone just reiterating to me that it's going to be okay when I'm like, it doesn't feel okay. And I want to feel validated in not being cool with this right now, you know? I'm hoping that after I film this, I'll edit it back and be embarrassed and post it anyways, and then probably get some horrendous comment, probably spend a few days being even more depressed, and then hopefully I will have just gotten over, you know, okay, I've filmed a video now and it's done, and so now I can like carry on with my life and finish filming more videos. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see how successful that is. You'll know because I'm either going to be uploading videos or I'm not. What else is going on? I feel like I can't even recall because I spent so much time moping about this. I started to like get this idea that I thought it would be really funny to just add an additional plant to my background every single time I film, because that one person was like, would love some more greenery in the background. And I was like, here you go, Ariel. Their name was Ariel. There's some more greenery in the background. And then like, I just wanted like more and more and more. But then it just became that now I just keep buying plants because at first I thought it was funny, but now I just think that it's like something that I'm doing to have like a little fun shopping time. This is a real pivot in conversation, okay? Then the more that I was shopping for plants, the more that I saw places stating that things were rare. And I was like, damn. I want rare things. I want rare plants. And then realizing that a lot of those plants aren't actually rare plants. They're just trendy and expensive because of it. So then I had the idea that maybe what I'll do is buy these rare plants, propagate them to create 1 million more plants, and then become a multi-millionaire selling cuttings of these plants. And then I was like, or could single-handedly crash the rare plant market by getting these rare plants, creating cuttings of them, and then giving them away or selling them for super cheap. And then there are no more rare plants in the world. But I'm not sure whether or not that's like an ecological nightmare or if it's just justice. I haven't quite decided. So that's kind of like a fun venture that I've mentally taken on. The only thing is that the rare plants are expensive. I feel wronged having to purchase them in the first place to launch into this commitment towards plant anarchy. So we'll see. I'll kind of keep you updated with where that ends up. I have an inkling what's going to happen is that I just keep buying plants, and then I just have an abundance of plants in my home and nothing comes of it. But I do want to start learning how to propagate things. I think that's going to be like maybe a fun little thing I'm going to get into. Here's something I have to bitch about. I want there to be like a Discord server for plant things that's actually bumping, okay? I know there's a lot of plant Discords. They're all dead. It's like one person being like, hey, can anyone tell me what's going on with my plants? And they posted on Thursday and it's now Tuesday and no one said anything to them. And then you feel like, well, should I say something? Because it kind of seems like this is like not really the place to like actually talk. So I don't. But like I want people that want to sit and talk about plants for an eternity. And I'm just going to carry on with this for like one hot second. The issue I'm having now is that the more plants I get, the more I feel like I actually have a lot of space for this. And then there's also walls, which you can then get shelves for. So it just really doesn't actually have to end at any point. Is that the healthiest? I don't know. I said I wasn't going to talk about anything, but I am going to talk about this. We came out with a new shade of Glow Lust. I didn't end up filming a video for it at the time, but it's called Sunstone. Sunstone lives right between Pyrite and Citrine. So order of succession, Morganite is our lightest shade, Selenite second lightest, Pyrite third lightest, getting more into like an olive tone. Citrine was our fourth lightest shade that was really warm toned. There was kind of just like a gap in between Pyrite and Citrine. And so this fills that gap. It's pretty neutral. It's not super olivey. It's not super, super warm. It's a beautiful, beautiful shade. I love it so much. But I really like to use it as a bronzer. I just got a brand new bottle because I actually didn't have, this is why I didn't film a video of it, because I actually didn't have the finished goods. They were down in our warehouse and I just hadn't
gotten them yet. So now I have one, and now I'm using it. But anyways, I just kind of take it like that, and I apply it just as I would any other liquid or cream bronzer. It is quite a dewy formula, as I'm sure we're all aware, but I really like it because I just feel like my skin is so dry, especially right now in the winter. So I feel like it just feels really nice on my skin, and it doesn't look cakey or anything like that. So I'm just loving it, and I'm so happy I finally have like the bottle now, so I don't have to use the ugly sample. I'm gonna put on some blush. Now I am gonna start telling you what I'm doing because I've stopped my crying. So it seems like it's probably a better time to kind of like jump back in with this shit. So I'm gonna use this color Rusty Rouge. It's from Nudestix. It's part of their Nudies Bloom range. It's pretty dark for my skin tone right now, but I like it. Wait, someone said that this was super annoying to have on in the background last time. That's for you. I also want to show you guys this planter. I don't know where you can buy it. I just got it from my local like garden center, but it reminded me of Glow Lust swatches. That's it. I've been using this eyeliner from Linda Hallberg Cosmetics. It's called Grayish Core. It's perfect in every capacity, aside from being hard to sharpen. But I love it in my waterline. Just like that. It's just such a pretty color. It's like this really kind of, it's a grayish. That's exactly what it is. No explanation necessary. I'm gonna put on my little lip. I'm using my, I think it's number 12, my Bite number 12 lips pencil. That's this big now. And I don't have any backups. So that's pretty upsetting. I'm gonna just quickly line my lips. And then I'm using my Jaclyn Hill As If lipstick. Use your own risk, whatever. Okay, and then I'm gonna take Selenite Glow Lust, and I'm just gonna take a tiny little like quarter pump of that and just do the tops of my cheekbones. All right, guys. Thanks for once again sitting and watching me cry on YouTube. It's been a slice. Can't wait for next time for us to do this again. Ariel, haven't heard from you. Do you feel like this is the appropriate amount of greenery in the background or no? Because we can do more. I don't know, you tell me. Anyways, okay, I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching, and that's it. Bye.